enthusiasts. Welcome back to the Bulbul YouTube channel. I'm here with the 4th episode of the spring theme of our beekeeping from A to Z with Hexagon series, Season 1. In this wonderful journey of our series, we are learning the most basic information about beekeeping step by step. In previous episodes, we made an introduction to beekeeping, got to know the necessary equipment, and successfully completed the initial stages, such as acquiring a bee colony and hive placement. Now, after our bees have settled into their new homes, we are stepping into the most important turning point: spring bee care and hive inspections. The spring months are the harbinger of our bees awakening from their winter dormancy, the revival of nature, and the rapid strengthening of our bee colonies. The correct and timely interventions we will make during this period will directly affect the productivity of our entire beekeeping season. In this special episode we have prepared today, we will learn in depth all the details of spring bee care and how to perform hive inspections most effectively. Are you ready to discover together what spring means for our bees and how to start hive inspections? Then, let's all move on to this critical stage of bee care. Spring is like a rebirth, a season of rejuvenation for our bee colonies. Our strong bees, which managed to survive the harsh winter conditions, are re-energized with the warm spring winds and begin their activities. During this period, bees enter a busy pace to quickly replenish their valuable energy stores, which they consumed throughout the winter, and to raise the new generation of bees, the bees of the future. It is precisely at this critical stage that we as beekeepers need to step in. Spring care is of vital importance to support the healthy development of our bee colonies, to make them more resistant to diseases and harmful organisms, and most importantly, to ensure they make a strong start to the season. Thanks to the regular hive inspections we will carry out, we can closely monitor the general condition of our bee colonies, detect potential problems at an early stage before they grow, and carry out the necessary preventive interventions in time. Let's not forget that healthy and strong bee colonies mean abundant honey production and a successful beekeeping season. So, exactly when should we start spring inspections? The ideal time for the first hive inspection is to choose a day when the weather is mild, calm, windless, and preferably sunny. It is ideal for the air temperature to have reached at least 15 degrees Celsius. This is because opening the hive in very cold weather can cause the bees to both get cold and become unnecessarily stressed. For this reason, we need to carefully monitor the weather and determine the most suitable time frame for hive inspection. During hive inspections, we will need some basic equipment that will make our work easier and ensure our safety. At the forefront of these are our indispensable smoker, hive tool, and beekeeping gloves. We will use the smoker to calm the bees and apply a light smoke to move more comfortably during the hive inspection. The hive tool will be our greatest helper in gently separating the honey frames and hive parts. Beekeeping gloves will protect our hands from possible bee stings and allow us to have a safer inspection process. We should definitely not forget to prepare all this equipment and take it with us before starting the hive inspection. Another important point to pay attention to before starting the hive inspection is our approach to the bees. We should always move gently, calmly, and carefully when working with bees. We should absolutely avoid sudden and harsh movements and respect the sensitivity of the bees. Let's not forget that we are guests in their home, and we should take care not to disturb their peace. Now, if we are ready, let's slowly open our hive and take a look inside for our spring inspection. Let's examine the most critical points to pay attention to in our first hive inspection step by step. First, we check the food stores of the bees. We must definitely review whether the bees have sufficient honey and pollen stores to get through the winter and enter the spring. The food they consumed during the winter may have decreased or run out. If the existing stores appear insufficient, we may need to provide supplementary feeding immediately so that our bees do not starve and can continue their development. Especially in the early spring, as natural nectar sources may not yet be at a sufficient level, supplementary feeding can be of vital importance. Our second important control point is the presence of the queen bee and brood activity, checking whether there is a healthy and young queen bee in our hive, and whether she is laying eggs regularly, is extremely critical for the future and healthy development of our bee colony. Carefully examining the brood frames and seeing larvae of different ages and capped brood is the most obvious sign that the queen bee is healthy and active. We should carefully observe whether the brood is in a proper pattern and looks healthy. Third, we conduct disease and pest control. We must observe very carefully whether there are any signs of disease or pests inside our hive. Unfortunately, common bee diseases such as varroa mites and nosema can cause serious problems in bee colonies during the spring months. The sooner we detect signs of disease or pests, the faster and more effectively we can intervene to prevent problems from escalating and protect our colony. Our fourth important control point is the humidity and mold situation inside the hive. We must definitely check whether there is excessive moisture accumulation or mold formation inside the hive, because humid environments can create a breeding ground for bee diseases and negatively affect the health of our bees. We should check the ventilation inside the hive and make adjustments if necessary to increase hive ventilation. Finally, we observe the amount of dead bees at the bottom of the hive. We should check the amount of dead bees that may have accumulated during the winter. Although a certain amount of dead bees is considered normal in periods such as the end of winter and the beginning of spring, if we encounter a much larger number of dead bees than normal, this can be an important sign that there is a problem in our colony. We should note the amount of dead bees at the bottom of the hive and follow it up in subsequent inspections. We have carefully completed our in-hive inspections. Now, based on the results of the inspection, we can move on to the maintenance procedures we need to perform in the spring. Let's take a look together at which maintenance procedures we need to apply based on the conditions we identified during the inspection. Our first maintenance procedure is feeding. If we found during the hive inspection that our bees have insufficient food stores, we must feed our bees with appropriate feed, such as sugar syrup or pollen supplements. Especially at the beginning of spring, as natural nectar and pollen sources may not yet be sufficient, this supplementary feeding will be of vital importance. Feeding will help the bees meet their energy needs, feed the brood, and strengthen the colony. Our second important maintenance procedure is varroa control. The spring months are one of the most suitable times to start fighting the varroa parasite. If we detect a high varroa infestation in our colonies during hive inspections, we should immediately treat our colonies with organic methods or other licensed varroa medications. Varroa is one of the most important pests that seriously threatens the health of our bees, and if it is not controlled in time, it can cause our bee colonies to weaken and even completely collapse. I will also prepare a detailed video about varroa control, which is a very important topic and needs to be emphasized, and share it with you, our valued Alper Bulbul YouTube channel followers, in a short time. Our third maintenance procedure is hive cleaning. Regularly cleaning the hive bottom board to remove dead bees and other debris that have accumulated on the hive floor during winter is extremely important for hive hygiene. A clean hive environment helps our bees stay healthier and reduces the risk of various diseases. Our fourth and final maintenance procedure is hive contraction or expansion. By assessing the strength of our bee colony during hive inspection, we can decide whether there is a need to contract or expand the hive. If our bee colony is still weak, reducing the internal volume of the hive will help the bees heat the hive more easily and protect the brood better. In strong colonies, expanding the hive provides more space for the bees to develop and reduces the tendency to swarm. We must make a careful observation and evaluation to make the most appropriate decision for the current state of the hive. As we carry out spring hive inspections, I would like to remind you again of some important tips to keep in mind. Always be gentle and calm. Avoid hasty and harsh movements when working with bees. Always exhibit calm, gentle, and controlled movements. Sudden and harsh movements can stress the bees and cause them to become aggressive. Always pay attention to the weather. Only perform hive inspections when weather conditions are suitable. Avoid opening hives on windy, rainy, or cold days. Keep inspection records. Be sure to record every hive inspection and maintenance procedure you perform in a notebook or notepad. These records will help you better track the development of your colonies in the future and make the right decisions. Intervene early. If you detect any problems or abnormalities during hive inspections, Do not hesitate to intervene as soon as possible to prevent the problem from escalating and to protect the health of the colony. Yes, my dear beekeeping friends, in this section, we have discussed the topic of spring bee care and hive inspections in all its details. Spring care is one of the most fundamental steps to take for a successful and productive beekeeping season. Remember, regular hive inspections and proper maintenance practices ensure healthy and strong bee colonies. And healthy bee colonies lead to abundant and high-quality honey harvests. In the next episode of our Beekeeping from A to Z with Hexagon series, we will delve into the topic of spring bee feeding techniques and proper feed selection. We will learn together how to feed our bees most accurately and effectively during the spring period, which types of feed we should use, and all the intricacies of proper feeding techniques. Be sure not to miss our next episode. Thank you sincerely for watching this episode patiently and with interest. If this video was helpful to you, please click the like button and support us by subscribing to the Alper Bulbul YouTube channel. We always welcome all your questions and valuable comments about beekeeping. We look forward to seeing you again in our next video. For now, goodbye and stay with the bees.